Psych, I started already. No, I'm kidding. Welcome to the BeastCast, episode 16. As always, I'm here with Mr. Ravenbones.
Sup?
And we were just talking about Drake and Josh and iCarly because I started singing the iCarly theme song. I don't remember why. Um, and yeah, we were talking about how the guy who Drake had a court hearing and because he was like apparently like I think he was like sexting underage minors or underage girls, not minors. I mean, all minors are underage, but like underage girls. They were like 14 or something like that. And so there's this funny clip that I figured we could start out with because why not? You know, it's pretty funny. So give me 1 second here. I gotta make sure this is how it is. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I had to turn my camera off. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here is the video. We're gonna watch this to start off the podcast. So you're welcome for people who are watching on YouTube. You get a little treat. And people who are listening, you just get to listen. I mean, it's all audio based anyway, so it doesn't matter. So here's a clip.
Are we ready? Good. We're hearing, excuse me, case number 659324, State of Ohio versus Jared Bell. Defendant is appearing by Zoom. Mr. Bell, can you hear the court?
I can, yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Counsel for Mr. Bell is in the courtroom. Ian Friedman and Madeline Grant, present from the state. Kevin Brigman also in the courtroom. My understanding, there's been a plea agreement reached where the defendant will plead guilty to count one, attempted endangering children, a felony of the fourth degree. He will plead guilty to count two, disseminating matter harmful to juveniles, misdemeanor of the first degree. Correct statement, counsel? Mr. Bell, how old are you?
Currently 34.
How far did you go in school?
GED.
Are you presently under the influence of drugs, alcohol, or medication?
No, sir. No, Your Honor.
Are you undergoing psychiatric treatment?
I mean, I've seen a psychologist. I don't know if that's psychiatric treatment. I wouldn't have answered that, sorry.
You understand what we're doing here this afternoon, is that correct?
I do, Your Honor.
Very good. Felony of the fourth degree, attempted endangering children, carries anywhere from 6 to 18 months in prison in monthly increments and/or a fine of up to $5,000. Prison time is not mandatory. However, if you go to prison upon your release, you could be subjected to a discretionary period of 3 years post-release control. Post-release control could involve restrictions on your activities. If you were to violate those restrictions, you could be returned to prison up to a maximum of 1/2 of your original sentence. A misdemeanor of the first degree carries up to 6 months in county jail and/or a fine of up to $1,000. Do you understand the potential penalties?
I do, Your Honor, yes.
Do you understand if you plead guilty, that is an admission by you that you did these crimes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Even though your lawyer may have discussed your rights at trial, it's my duty to explain them to you in open court. First, you would have a right to a trial by a jury or by a judge without a jury, whichever you prefer. You'd have the right to be represented by a lawyer. If you could not afford one, the court would appoint one to represent you at no cost. At trial, the prosecutor would have to produce its witnesses in open court, and you or your attorney would have the right to cross-examine those witnesses. You could issue subpoenas to compel witnesses to come into court to testify on your own behalf. You could testify if you wish, but you could not be compelled to testify against yourself, and the prosecutor cannot comment on your failure to testify. You'd be presumed innocent until the prosecutor proved your guilt by evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand those rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have any threats or promises been made to you to induce this plea?
No, Your Honor.
Are you satisfied with your lawyers?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you presently on probation, parole, or post-release control?
No, Your Honor.
Having said that, how do you plead to count one? Attempted endangering children, felony of the fourth degree.
Guilty.
How do you plead to count two? Disseminating matter harmful to juveniles, first degree misdemeanor.
Guilty.
Let the record reflect defendant has pled guilty. The court accepts that plea. Find it was made knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently. Sentencing is going to be deferred till July 12th at noon. The victim can provide a victim impact statement if she wishes, either by herself and through Zoom or through the witness victim advocate from the court. Additionally, counsel can file sentencing memorandums as well. Please do it at least 3 days prior to July 12th. Anything further, counsel? Very good. We'll see you July 12th. Thank you.
The funniest thing ever with that laugh track.
The laugh track is just too much, bro. I don't know why it's so funny to me. But no, that fucking laugh track, it's so funny over just like very serious shit like that.
Mhm.
Fucking, oh my god. No, he served his sentence already. He went to jail, had to pay a bunch of money to the family and to the fucking state. And now, because, you know, everybody who knows him in English knows that he's a fucking pedophile, he only does tours in Mexico now because the people in Mexico love his music still from 2009, so.
Oh.
Yeah, but, well, because here's the thing, so, how a lot of these, I guess I wouldn't say we're getting off topic, because we don't really have a main topic other than James Gunn, which will take 5 minutes, but, other than that, we don't really have a main topic, right? So, basically, how this works is a lot of these people, when these musicians, artists, when they're younger, that's when they become really popular, so they'll sign really stupid contracts, and that's exactly what Drake did. He signed a really dumb contract with Nickelodeon, and then with his basically the company that basically owned and produced all of his music. I don't remember if it was Universal or whoever. So basically, whenever he would release new music, like an album, he would only get about like 10-15%. And this happens with people. Do you remember 6ix9ine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
So people like 6ix9ine, they have the same problem when they're really stupid. Well, not stupid. They just didn't know better. They were uneducated, and they signed these really dumb contracts where these companies would take basically all their money. So they would only get like 10% of sales or listens and stuff like that on their new music. So what these people will do is, since they can't really get out of it and they want to keep that, they'll do live shows. Because the live shows, they get 80% rather than the 10%. So instead of making new music, they'll just do live shows like outside of the US where they're still technically kind of popular. So like, for example, 6ix9ine is really popular in Asia. And so I don't know why in Asia. So he does a lot of touring in Asia, and he just does live shows. And he doesn't do any shows in the US because if he did, he'd get fucking flamed because nobody would be there. And he gets 80% of the sales of everything at that venue, and that's exactly what Drake does. And even and what's funny is how the show worked, right? So Drake was always the cool, hot, smart one, you know, and Josh was the fat loser one. And it's kind of reversed now. Like Josh is kind of the more successful, cool one, and Drake's just kind of the lame ass now, IRL. Like, do you remember Josh? I think his name's Joshua Peck or whatever. He was on David Dobrik, and then he got his own show, and then he got all this. He lost all that weight, and he was doing a lot, and he even went up to Drake and when they were at some venue, and he was like, hey, you know, how would you feel about, you know, iCarly got rebooted? How would you feel about rebooting Drake and Josh? And Drake was like, you know what? Yeah, that'd be great, because, you know, he gets a lot of money from that, because everybody would be like, nostalgia, you know? But Josh said that the only way he would do it is if Drake was the loser, basically they'd both be older, and the roles were reversed like they are IRL, and Drake won't do it because he doesn't want to be the loser. Because Drake is tonight's big loser.
Oh my god.
If Sal doesn't send me $10,000, everybody on this plane will be tonight's big loser. But no, yeah.
Bro.
So Drake's just kind of fallen off. But he still makes a living. He probably makes, he makes way more than you would think though, because those shows in Mexico, they sell out every single time. If you try to buy tickets for them, they're always sold out. So those people in Mexico love him. Mainly South America. It's not even just Mexico. South America loves him. I don't know why. It's probably because all the girls who watched him when they were younger are like old enough now to go to his concerts, and those Spanish girls were always just like, "Oh my god, he was so beautiful. I'm gonna listen to his music. Want to get his autograph." I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do the correct.
But you gave it a good try, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how to do the correct. All I know in Spanish is "Donde está la leche," which means "Where's the milk?" And I know how to say "Hola, mi amo es Jason."
Damn, that's cool. I know how to say tacos.
Taco. Wanna know how you say taco?
How? Aha.
Gotcha. There's a Family Guy clip that's actually super hilarious about like Spanish, and they're like, it's like Brian, and he's in the back of a pickup truck, and there's like all these fucking like immigrants sitting with him, and he's like, "Oh god, I don't know how to speak Spanish." So he's like trying to think. He goes, "Okay," and he taps the guy and he goes, "Hola, mi amo es Brian," and then the guy goes, "You know, that was actually pretty good, but all you needed to do was just say mi amo Brian." And he goes, "Oh really? You speak English?" He goes, "Okay." Because he doesn't know how to. He only knew how to speak that, and then and then it just cuts away. Because "que" means what?
Mm-hmm. I know what that means.
I took a little bit of Spanish. I dabbled. And then they got rid of a bunch of the languages at my school. So when I graduated, I didn't graduate with a language class. So when I had to do college stuff, and because technically a lot of colleges require at least a year of a language, but there's actually a way to opt out of it, because if you can prove that your school didn't offer languages, like language classes, then you don't have to do it. And my school didn't, so I didn't have to take a year of any language. Although I am going to take a year of I'm probably going to take a year of German in college, and then I'll probably do I'm doing Japanese, or I'm going to start doing Japanese in my own time. But I'm definitely going to do like a year of German. Because German is just goofy. Oh my god, dude. Ugh. Yeah, German's really goofy.
Yeah, well, German and Russian are, I believe, are like just goofy hard languages.
Well, German's easier than Russian, because with Russian you have to learn, what is it, the syllabit, which is like or whatever those are called. You have to learn their alphabet. Well, the German alphabet uses like 70% of the characters that we use. Because English is just literally like 5 languages deprived from each other, and German is one of them. It's like German, Latin, Spanish, and it's a lot of Romance languages, like Italian, German, Latin. And no, they're not called Romance languages because they sound sexy when you use them, guys. Come on. Get with the
They
program.
are. Come on.
They're called Romance because they were from the Romans. The Romans. They're going to be Roman, the earth, again. Because the Romans are coming back, baby. Roman 2023. Sweet, baby!
Woo! Let's go.
Damn, Rome was dude, on God, if I could live anywhere in the past for like restart my life, and I had to go somewhere, like I couldn't stay in my body now, and I can't go in the future, and I have to go anywhere in the past, I think I'd go to Rome. Like be pre downfall of Rome. Because
Yeah,
I bet Rome would be so fire, bro, to live in.
it would be.
Because
Yeah.
like, okay, the problem with Sparta, right, is it Athens would be pretty cool, but Sparta, it wasn't like how you see in the movies where they have like all these like beautiful textural buildings and stuff like that. No, that was Athens. Sparta was basically mud huts, but they were warriors. They weren't like mud. They were like wood, mud, and basically straw huts. And basically, they didn't live the most lavish lifestyles because they were all like warriors, because they were always at war with Athens. And then eventually Sparta. So then you know the story of Sparta, right?
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah. So then Sparta happened. Sparta. Who are they? Not the Greeks. They're because they're all Greeks.
Persians.
Persians. There you go. Yeah, the Persians come, and then the Spartans and Athens and all of Greece teams up basically and takes out Persia. Well, not Persia. They don't take them out. They basically kind of send Persia back, and then Sparta teams up with Persia to take down Athens, and then they destroy each other. Athens and Sparta destroy each other basically, and that's when the Romans came in. We're like, hey guys, what's up?
The superior ones come along.
Yeah, and that's
dressed up in their fancy gold.
dude. That scene. What's his name? So in the 500 or whatever that movie, the one where this is Sparta.
300.
It's a 300. 300. Is it really 300? I thought it was 500. That
No,
movie.
dude, 300.
Yeah, that movie's fire. But what the God? It's on the tip of my tongue. The Persian king. What's his name? You know
Xerxes.
Xerxes with the X, baby. Zer with an X. The Z sound with the X. What a weird name. No, there's actually the only reason I remember that is because there's a street by my house that's called Xerxes Avenue. But Xerxes, yeah, that he creeped me out when I watched that movie when I was younger. I was like, bro, this guy's kind of goofy. He kind of reminded me.
Take, I like the sequel.
I heard the sequel is pretty bad, but a lot of people actually have come around and liked it now.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, if you're going into there expecting the same level of Zack Snyder-ness from the previous 300 movie, you're not going to get it. And I felt like that's what people were going for.
Well, both of those movies are on HBO Max too. So.
And here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. And I'm gonna be honest with it. Okay, I enjoyed the movie, for what it was, but I do know that there are clear moments, okay, where you're literally gonna sit there watching it, even in high definition, and you're gonna be like, bro, I can see the green outline of the green screen around the character. Like you're gonna be like, dude, did you not mesh that? I mean, like you're gonna notice it, but like after watching it a few times, I just didn't care. I was just like, dude, it takes place during the 300 movie, and it takes place before, during, and after the 300 movie. It's like this really big backstory to 300 while also being a sequel. There's more included in it, like Leonidas's wife you get to see what she was doing other than pleading for all of Greece to go to war with the Persians. You get to see the birth of King Xerxes and what happened to his father, and then what happens to him afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that would probably be kind of fire as a concept, but I feel like it probably just wasn't executed well, and that's why most people didn't like it.
You get cool ship battles though. The Greek ship battles that they did were pretty cool. It's just
that ship battle in 300 is so dope. It's not even a ship battle. It's like when they're looking over all the ships and they're like, Poseidon! And like all the ships are like falling over and fucking getting like blown to shreds and shit. It was so fucking cool. From the storm, from the tempest. There's a good... Sorry, I was drinking my McDonald's fucking Sprite. My favorite thing. Okay, there's a Greek story. Hold on, I got a little story about when I went to McDonald's here, but I want to finish this first. So there's this Greek story, right? It's just about right before the Romans kind of come over, and they don't know who wrote it. But this guy, he was a scholar, one of the more educated people, because he wrote this kind of like tale, and he was so tired of people making these stories and claiming they were real, like shit, like we fought Cthulhu. Well, they didn't say like Cthulhu because that's Lovecraftian, but basically shit like that, where they're fighting these big ass monsters that just like didn't exist and like could easily be called out for bullshit. And he was a sailor and stuff like that, and he was like, you know what? I'm so tired of this shit. I'm gonna make one that's so unrealistic and just title it A True Story. And that's what he did. He titled it A True Story, and the story basically is that it's actually the first ever known recorded sci-fi basically piece of literature ever. Basically, these guys are on the ship, right? And this tempest comes in, and it throws the ship so high in the air that they actually make it out of the Earth's atmosphere, and they sail to the moon. And then they meet these guys on the moon, and it's an entire colony of men. And the men are, I guess they're technically gay because there's no women, and they give birth out of their calves, and they can have up to 2 children at a time. And then they go and fight. They go and fight at the sun, and then they go home. And then they're regarded as like heroes. And then basically they get to trade with this moon colony, and they find out that there's all these men on the moon and shit like that. And it was titled A True Story. And what's funny is some of these motherfuckers actually believed it. We learned this in fucking. We were reading it in world
What was
history.
the story called?
It's literally just called A True Story. You can look it up.
Oh.
Look up Greek sci-fi story called A True Story. It will probably be the first thing that comes up. A True Story. Okay, they do know who it's by. Sorry, it's called A True Story by Lucian of Samosta. Here's the Wikipedia article on it. And yeah, they fight like these spiders and shit. I think it actually might be Roman. Actually, it might not be Greek. Might be Roman, but
It's
either
Greek.
way, it is Greek. It is Greek. Okay, yeah, language Greek. It takes place around Syria. It's technically considered science fiction. Yeah, it's fucking insane. it's
Sure.
it's really fucking crazy, dude. But no, shit, I'm streaming my golf. Whoops, sorry. Anyways, yeah, this shit's fucking insane. And I remember I was like, damn, dude, because I'm a really big sci-fi guy, and I'm like, damn, I can't believe I've never heard of this before. And so
That's where Tolkien got the idea of giant spiders.
did he also get his ring idea from that Greek tale about the ring as well?
No, that came from somebody who had found an actual ring, I believe somewhere in the Netherlands, I believe. It was a farmer found this really odd ring with inscriptions going all around it, and it was a golden ring, and they had no idea what it was supposed to be for, other than like one tale of a king that. And so I forget the tale of it. Okay, I just know it's based off of a real ring, and so he was all like, wow, that's a really cool idea because it's kind of the first of its kind found to be so engraved and nicely. I mean, it's kind of crude, but so he just was like, yeah, let's use this as the driving force of the story because it's still made of gold. And Tolkien's um, theme of the books are basically that gold is the bane of all men because of their greed.
There's a Greek story. I don't know if it's one of the I don't remember which of the famous Greek philosophers it's by, but it's basically a story about greed as well. It's just titled The Ring, and it's a very short piece. And it's basically about this king, and he finds a ring, and basically the king becomes like he becomes so obsessed with this ring that like he starts neglecting his people, his family, his kingdom. And when the people storm to try and take the ring away from him, he basically like there's this big ass slaughter, and the kingdom basically falls apart because of this powerful greed of this ring. And then it comes to find out that the ring actually has some sort of magical power, and then the whole point of the story is, a lot of those old Greek tales try to have like some weird like random story because philosophers just had to be like that. So basically the story is like, don't be greedy. Basically, it's like a really I've always, that's what I thought made the most sense for it, because he was a really big like historian, but he was more of an old English historian. So, do you know what that says? Like, did they ever translate what that says?
I don't believe so. It's been a long time since I've actually found the article that first tried to do a huge thing on it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a cool ring. But yeah, Tolkien's kind of fire. Apparently
He
they're
is.
apparently did you hear they're starting production of season 2 of Rings of Power.
Oh my god, really? I can't wait.
Apparently next year, middle of next year is when it's gonna probably most likely release.
I wonder who else they're gonna have as Galadriel this time that we can bully off the show.
Do you think if the original actor for Galadriel came back, do you think it would save the show?
No, because you still have to deal with the shitty script.
I mean, there's a few parts of the show that I liked, but
Yeah, there were a few parts. Okay, honestly, don't hate, but like I actually went back and rewatched episode 6, where you see the birth of Mount Doom.
mm-hmm.
Because I felt like if they would have just stuck to the setup of the orcs digging all those canals and tunnels that led up to the birth of Mount Doom and like shoved out all the other bullshit in the show, that would have been a cool starting point. And I
it would have
thought
worked
that
better as a movie. It would have worked better as a movie.
yeah, and I thought that whole thing was like the one redeeming part of the show. And I do feel like that one farmer guy who uses the sword to open up the dam, so to speak, of water, using that Sauron looking sword, that
Yeah.
one that fucking forms out of nowhere based off of special blood in your veins. Yeah, that one. I thought that was a cool concept, and I like the idea of that being. You had some people who never watched the show though, who like only watched like the first few episodes and then watched the Critical Drinker, right? And they're all like, "Yeah, and the script's so shit. Like, who says lines like the sword being the key and the stone and shit like that?" They thought it was a metaphor, and I was just like, "Dude, did you not watch the show? The sword is a literal key to the stone. Like, did you not?" No, I didn't watch that shit. Well, then, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I feel like here's the thing about movies is games. The thing about games is you can watch somebody play through the entire game, and as long as you watch them play through the entire game, like every piece of the game, okay, you can make the argument of whether or not a game is bad because you watched all of it. You didn't play it,
Uh-huh.
but you watched all of it. With movies, you can't do that. You can't watch 10 minutes of a movie and be like, dude, what the fuck is this dog shit, bro? This movie's so slow. Like, how do you know? You didn't finish it. You didn't fucking finish it. And like, my friends always give me shit because I don't like buying a lot of video games. Like, for example, like story games. Like, the only one I really bought was Horizon Forbidden West because there's more than just a story to that game. But, like, with Ragnarok, I just watched somebody play through the entire thing. And then my friend was like, well, dude, how do you know if Ragnarok was Game of the Year? I was like, oh my god, it's almost as if I watched somebody play the entire game. It's like, no, I didn't watch somebody play all of Elden Ring, but I could tell you that I'm not a Souls fan. So obviously I'm just going to choose God of War for Game of the Year than Elden Ring because I'm not a Souls fan. I don't like Souls games. And it's like, that type of shit, you can't do that with movies. Like, there's this girl at work. I won't say who it is, but she's an asshole to a lot of the other wait staff. She only works, she doesn't work in, like, the afternoons. But she's kind of, I wouldn't say, you know what, she's not really asshole. She's just more, like, picky. She's just, like, really picky about everything. And she said that she didn't like the new Batman because it didn't remind her of The Dark Knight. And I'm like, it's not the same movie. It's two different movies. You can't compare them. Sure, they're both Batman, but you can't compare The Dark Knight directly to the new Batman movie. They're not trying to be fucking Christopher Nolan. Matt Reeves is not trying to go for the Christopher Nolan style where it's like the cool fucking crazy gadgets, like New York style city. That's not what he's going for. You can't compare the two movies like that. Sure, they're both Batman. You can compare. I mean, if you want to compare Batmans, go for it. If you want to compare Pattinson compared to fucking Bale, go for it. But you can't compare the movies directly because they're not trying to be the same thing. And especially when I found out that she didn't even watch the entirety of Batman, that pissed me off even more. Because I was like, how do you even know? How do you even know how the movie ended? You didn't even watch the entire thing. Like, how do you know what happened? Like, yeah, you could look up the plot, but you didn't watch the entire thing. You don't know what fucking happened. You can't compare it.
See, not finishing a movie is like impossible for me, no matter how bad it is. Like I have to
There was
finish
only
the movie.
one time I ever walked out of a theater. Actually, two times. It was Air Bud, the dog movie about the dog that plays basketball.
Yeah.
And then the only other time was when my grandma got really sick, and we were in the theater watching Blade Runner, 2040. What is it? 2049.
Yeah.
And Or is it 2048? God, now I can't. I know I'm second guessing myself. It is 2049. It's Blade Runner 2049. When we were watching that, we got well, I didn't get a call. I got a message, and normally you don't check. I didn't check my phone during the movie. I went to the bathroom, and as I went to the bathroom, I got a text like 5 minutes before that said my grandma was in the hospital, and I was like, oh shit. Well then, okay, I guess we gotta go. And then I ended up finishing the movie, and I thought it was amazing. I fucking love both the Blade Runner movies. They're both amazing.
Who goes to the bathroom when you go to the movie theaters?
I have to. I have a really bad bladder.
Then go beforehand and don't drink anything during the movie.
See, that's impossible for me, dude. I can't eat popcorn or anything without a soda or like a drink or water or something like that. And so I'll go before you. There's sometimes I can get through movies. It just all depends on how my bladder wants to be that day, because I have like, I wouldn't say a problem, but it's like I will have to go to the bathroom pretty much every like hour and a half to 2 hours. And so usually it's impossible for me to make it through an entire movie. But I usually go to the bathroom really quickly. Okay, there has been a couple times where I haven't washed my hands in the bathroom just because I was so invested in the movie that I literally I ripped my pants down. I fucking and just fucking went back because I was so invested. One of the times was in Avengers Endgame. I remember that one. It was during when it was during when they were in the Stark lab in the 70s, when they have to get the, what stone are they trying to get then? Is that the Tesseract? They're trying to re-get the Tesseract, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're trying to re-get the Tesseract, I was like, holy fuck, I can't make it. I saw Peggy and I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, I'm gone. And I not even kidding. I jumped out of my chair. I sprinted because we have like these recliner chairs at our theater, because it's a local theater. They got these really nice, comfy leather recliners. And so I didn't even put the recliner down. I literally jumped out of the chair. I fucking sprinted, like full blown sprint. Fucking jet lasered that shit, and I just ran back out. And I didn't even give a shit if the guy at the counter could hear the bathroom or not, because I did not care. I went, and then I got back and I sat in my chair. It was actually like probably world record pace, because it was only like 25 seconds, not even. And it was a long piss too. I was just jet lasering that shit. It would have been a long piss. Had I took my time, that would have been a minute piss, probably a minute and a half, maybe. That would have been a long
forced
piss.
it right out, bro.
Yeah. Well, no, like there's a speedrun strat that you can do, but yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about something, since we're talking about movies.
Mm-hmm.
I have, for me, okay, biggest thing for me is, okay, I am one of those people to where I love all of the Alien movies.
Okay. Like even the new one with Idris Elba?
No, the Alien movies.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a new Alien movie with Idris Elba from like 3 years ago.
When is there a new Alien movie?
You don't have, it's called, like, it's literally directed by Ridley Scott. Alien movies.
I don't remember there being. I only remember the one from 2017.
It's Covenant.
Alien Covenant has Idris Elba in it?
Or is it Prometheus?
Prometheus is the one with Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Because he dies in it.
Yeah, there you go. Prometheus is technically considered an alien, part of the Alien franchise, because it's...
Yes, even Prometheus.
Yeah, you've seen Prometheus. You like that one too? Because that was the one that not everybody liked. Or was it Covenant that was the one that everybody didn't like?
Well, people liked Covenant a little bit more, but the problem is that Ridley Scott was forced to change the story of Covenant because of how much people hated Prometheus. So there were scenes where he wanted to explore storylines, and 21st Century Fox was all like, nah, people didn't like that Prometheus, so you got to change this to be a little bit different, which is why you could find deleted scenes.
I forgot Benedict Wong was in Prometheus too. Yeah. No, it was kind of weird because, like, I hate when studios do that to directors. Like,
I did.
And it wasn't even like for Star Wars. It wasn't even a studio like George Lucas, because George Lucas fucking made sure he owned his studio. It was the fucking fans. The fans were boycotting it. Like, we're not gonna watch these sequels or these prequels if they're not done correctly. And he's like, fuck you
Yeah,
guys.
because fuck Jar Jar. We don't like Jar Jar. What is this movie made
Which is
for
why,
kids?
Jar Jar doesn't even have a single scene in Revenge of the Sith. He does. He has the
He
one scene.
does.
He has the one scene in the Senate, but he was supposed to have more scenes in. Honestly, I think the Darth Jar Jar thing was gonna happen. I'm gonna be real with you.
Oh, George Lucas admitted it was.
Yeah, like it probably would have happened had people not bullied him for it. And it's like,
Yeah, see, I hate that.
and then I mean, don't get me wrong, Revenge of the Sith was still fire for what he came up with not being able to do his original Darth Jar Jar script. Because Revenge of the Sith is easily my favorite Star Wars movie out of the 6, because there's only 6 movies. There's only 6 Star Wars movies. There's only 6 Star Wars movies. Even Disney admitted that. When you go on Disney Plus right now, it has the first 6, and then it has the Disney sequels. And the Disney sequels are in their own category. They're not considered canon anymore. Because now there's 2 canons in Star Wars. There's the regular canon, which is like where the Mandalorian is, where fucking Ahsoka is, all that shit. And then you have the sequels, which is the Disney canon, which is stuff like Solo, and then stuff like Rogue One for some reason, even though that's technically part of the regular canon, but whatever, they just put it in there because Disney directed it, and all this shit. But like all the TV shows, other than that new one Andor that came out, all the TV shows are in not Disney canon. They're in the regular canon. Because the thing about the Obi-Wan show is it was starting to feel like it was going to be Disney canon, where they're like, okay, they're just rechanging the story. They kind of made it work though. They made it work. The beginning of the show, I've come to turn around with that show. The beginning of that show is dog shit. Like I don't like anything about the beginning of that show at all. And then the Vader scenes in episodes in like the last couple episodes is so good. Like the fight scene in the final episode, it's so good. And the one where he's fighting Third Sister was also amazing, where he's literally just playing with her. And the boss ass shit, bro. Fucking Kylo Ren. There's a scene where Kylo Ren. You remember from episode 9 when Kylo Ren and Rey are trying to hold down that tiny ass ship, and they're pushing it back and forth, and they just can't even get it to budge. This boy Vader, bro, took an entire fucking like episode 2-3 style ship and fucking just was holding it down with one hand. Didn't even have to try.
That was some badassery.
The only people that's ever I've seen do anything crazier than that was Starkiller, but that's because Starkiller was just designed to be fucking broken as shit in those games. Do you remember those games?
Yeah, I remember those games.
Yeah, there's in the second game, in the second Force Unleashed game, he literally holds down a Star Destroyer with one hand and breaks it. The Star Destroyer is literally trying to take off, and it's trying to go so quickly, it breaks in half because he's holding it back. And I was like, okay, this guy is just dumb. This guy's just stupid. What the fuck? But that was pretty badass too, actually. I want to remaster those games. I love the new ones with Cal, and apparently that the reason why they push back Jedi Survivor, the new one, the sequel to Fallen Order, is because apparently it's supposed to tie into The Mandalorian, which if that's the case, like, oh my god, Craigasm, that's going to be great. But, no, it's just, I hate when directors are forced to change their original script. Because, like, it's like, bro, they're trying to make a film. Like, a lot of people, like, don't think there's a difference between a film and a movie, but there is. A movie is something like Marvel, where you're making it to yeah, it's going to be enjoyed, but you're making it for money. You're making it solely for money. Well, a film is something you make. The director wants to make. The director is making this because he wants to make this. Not because money, yes, there is money involved, and he's glad to take money, but it's not just his only focus is money. Well, with like Marvel and hell, even DC, their whole point is, how do we turn out more money? How do we turn out more money? And that's a movie. A movie is a moneymaker. A film is just a movie designed to be enjoyed by the director, I think, personally.
That's why I felt like when Prometheus came out and everybody started shitting on it, I told them all to go to hell. Because I was all like, look, this dude had this story plan like since, you know, for 20 years at the time he was making Prometheus. Okay, it took him like 25 years to make this. This is what he originally had for the origin story to the aliens. You're gonna get your precious little fucking aliens, okay, later on. All right, but let's look at the origin to it. Everybody was bitching because they're like, "Oh, I don't give a shit about this fucking race of creators and all this." I'm like, dude, this is where aliens came from. Okay, like this is what he had planned. Fuck off, you know. And Alien Covenant, even though it was changed a bit because of, you know, studio, I still enjoyed it for what it was. I was all like, damn, that's pretty cool. And then it tied back into Alien One near the end, and I was all like, this is pretty cool. This is nice. And I'm just like, why are you guys such an asshole? This is the dude who created the first Alien movies, and he's telling you that this is the story to them. Like, you can say, you can judge it based off of maybe being a shitty story, but like, who the fuck cares? It's not your world, it's his.
And also, by the way, without Ridley Scott, might I remind you? Okay, everybody who's shitting on Ridley Scott, like, damn, you know, he's falling off, bro. Like, may I remind you of who this guy is? He not only made Alien and Aliens, if I remember correctly. Did he do Alien 3 too, right? He did Alien 3 too, right?
I don't think he did Alien
Okay.
3.
He did Alien and Aliens. He did the original design of Blade Runner. He was the one that took Blade Runner and took the original story, Dude Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, and managed to make it a cinematic masterpiece, which nobody thought they could even do because that story just doesn't even hardly work as a movie because it would be too long. Not only that, he not only set up Blade Runner, but he also set up two of the biggest games that ended up basically taking sci-fi by the cock and literally ripping it apart and remaking sci-fi. Made sci-fi cool again. Without Alien and Aliens, those two movies in particular, and I guess Blade Runner too, sci-fi would not be how it is today. A lot of those games, a lot of sci-fi games are based heavily off of Alien in that style. Like Prey, the Prey games
Mm-hmm.
are heavily based off of Alien. The Alien Isolation is one of the most fun, like, I guess it's not really hide and seek. It's kind of, what's the word for that type of game called? You're constantly being chased by one enemy.
Survival
So,
horror.
yeah, survival horror, I guess, works. Yeah, it gave us survival horror. Returnal, that game that I've been playing a lot, that game would have never existed without, actually, funny enough, their biggest inspiration is Alien Isolation and Prometheus, the movie Prometheus, which is why I have so much respect for this movie, because that origin of, like, mankind style thing where, like, you know, it's like this torn down, like, old ancient civilization lost, that's exactly what Returnal is based off. It's like this gone and forgotten civilization being uncovered by means that weren't even supposed to exist, and like it was never supposed to happen. And I find that just so fucking cool. And so I have so much respect for Ridley Scott. And I mean, I kind of want to go back and rewatch Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I've never seen Covenant. I've seen Prometheus. I want to go back and watch both of these movies now. Because okay, this is just not working. There we go.
Shit, I mean, pick a date. We will.
Fuck, dude. I'm God. We might. This, and like, they didn't even do that mad. Like, yeah. I don't know. I think we should definitely watch these though. Damn. It's got a decent cast to it. I remember, is Alien Covenant the one that has the guy? Well, because Prometheus has the start of it, but doesn't the robot have a bigger play in
Yes.
Covenant? Yeah. I think
And I loved that part of the film.
I think the robot style is pretty cool. I also, dude, I'm such like an Android fan. I want like a movie. Like, I want a Detroit to Become Human style movie where, like, minus all the fucking gay bullshit. I want like a movie like that. You know, like a cool ass fucking Android city, fucking, oh, like Android, like Blade Runner is kind of that, but it's not, because they're more human like than they are Android, because how they were designed is well, iRobot too. How they were designed is they were designed with human intention, like, where basically the androids in the Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, and or do androids or whatever, and the Blade Runner series, is they're basically humans. They're just literally humans, but they're like just a little stronger, a little smarter, They still are just as weak as humans. They don't got any like cool like upgrades or anything like that. Although in 2049, it was kind of setting up that they were gonna maybe or the what's it called, the final movie, the third movie, the trilogy to end off the Blade Runner series that's coming out at some point. Um, that there was going to be these really powerful androids, and I think it's fucking dope. I think that's cool, but I want real androids. Like I want iRobot, but actually done way better, like way better. Because don't get me wrong, iRobot is cool, right? But the actual novel is so much better than the iRobot movie with Will Smith. Because iRobot is written by Isaac Asimov, who was a chemist. Funny enough, he wasn't even a really science fiction guy, and he just got really into writing, and he thought it was really cool to have like these robotic style like humans, without like the chemistry compounds of a normal human and what it would be like, and he built this entire world in which is iRobot is just a collection of a bunch of short stories, and he built this entire world. And iRobot the movie is only one of those like 20 short stories, which is so sad because it could have been so much better, because you could have set up this entire world with iRobot. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm not a fan of iRobot the movie. Like, it's a good movie, but I can't stand by it.
Do
It's
you
just
think they can make more long scale, feature sized films like iRobot and still have it take place in the universe that Will Smith
absolutely.
starred in?
Absolutely. The only problem is Isaac Asimov has been dead for a while, and I think his son or his daughter owns the rights to all of the like all the stuff to do in the film, or not to do in the film, to do with the book. And he or she, whoever it is, gave access for iRobot, but after iRobot flopped so badly, they said they're never gonna touch it again because they don't want to ruin their father's legacy. And the guy's like really old. It's kind of like a Tolkien problem right now, where the estate basically owns it right now. And I don't think. Well, to be honest, I don't even know if anybody's even asked. I don't know if anybody's even went to them anymore after iRobot, because iRobot did okay, but it wasn't like what everybody wanted. Like, everybody thought it was gonna be way different than what it was. And iRobot, to be fair, was way ahead of its time because it tried to be something that would have worked now in like early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the robots, they kind of look ass because CGI still not to that point yet, because it's not like 2009 or 2000. This is like 2002. It's not like 2009 yet, where like you can get away with awesome CGI yet, because the computers aren't powerful enough. So I think they could definitely now expand upon that and make like, because there's a story. You could even make a short story or a short film. The very first one is the shortest one in the entire novel. It's called Robbie. It's this little girl, and there's this robot, and this is before the robots become like how they are in iRobot. The robots can't speak. All they can do is just act. Basically, they're just told to do something and they do it. They have these glowing red eyes. They're all completely all metal. Like, they don't have any type of substance or anything like that. You can easily tell they're robots. Basically, this robot's called Robbie. This little girl plays around with it, and they play hide and seek, and the robot always finds her, and she gets all mad. But the mom hates this robot so badly because she wants a kid to make friends, right? And so she's like, everybody looks at us funny, and the dad's like, it's fine, dude. At least she's like having somebody, and mom's like, no. So basically, the mom starts treating the robot like shit, and then tries to get the robot in trouble so the dad will get rid of it. And eventually, she basically just like destroys the robot. And from the novel, even though this robot can't speak, he can't say what's going on, he can't see what's happening, you're basically just watching the mother destroy this poor robot, and you almost get a sense of feeling. Like, you can feel how the robot is feeling. And that's the introduction of the story, and eventually the robot gets sent away after it gets basically damn near destroyed. And then the mom's like, see, it's so much better. It's going to be so much better for our daughter. And then their daughter becomes quiet and shy and then like won't do anything anymore, and all the kids think she's an outcast, and it basically ruins the daughter's life, and then it ends up ruining the mother's life. So then they try to go find this robot, and then they eventually find it after a while in like New York City. And that's the introduction. It's only like 20 pages, and that's the introduction. And just from that, I think you can make an entire movie. You could make a movie just titled Robbie.
I think we should go for it.
We could definitely do it. I think we could do it. It would be easy too, because I mean, you would have to do CGI, but it's easy CGI because you only have to really CGI one thing. Because this is like, it was written in like 1950. It was so for my college class, we had to do George Orwell, do 1984, and then we had to do Isaac Asimov because they wrote around the same time because we were going by time period. And so basically, it was of what the future would look like in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. So iRobot starts in the 90s, which is when Robbie takes place in 1998, and then it goes until like 2060 or something like that, when finally there's an android revolution, which is iRobot, the movie, where the androids finally become like really sentient and start fighting back and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a fucking there's so many things you could do. You could almost make it. You could make an entire like world building off of this. But nobody wants to do it.
I think they could. I think they could pull it off because they could use the CGI used for that movie Chappie.
Yes, exactly. Chappie is underrated. Listen,
I love that movie.
I love that movie. Listen, everybody who's listening and you've seen Chappie and you think it's bad, you have an opinion, but I don't know if it's right because Chappie is fire. Now, don't get me wrong. That weird scene where Sony paid to have all those PlayStations as like a supercomputer, that's kind of odd. Okay, I'm gonna admit that's kind of odd. But everything else is really dope. I think Chappie is fucking cool as fuck. I like the style of trying to teach a robot to become a gangster, kind of like a weird ass fucking like where he's like, oh, I hold it like this, and then like the ending is pretty cool where his creator basically gets turned into a robot because he was gonna die, and Chappie's just the G. Chappie's a G, bro. Oh man,
Dude, Chappie's awesome.
Chappie's.
I love
dope.
that movie. I thought it was actually going to be shit until I watched it.
Yeah, and a lot of people did think it was shit, but I loved it. I don't care what anybody says.
Now there's been released. I think I sent the trailer for the new Evil Dead movie.
Yes, yes. I'm kind of, I'm somewhat excited. I think. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
For me, I'm okay. I love Bruce Campbell's Evil Dead movies. Okay, but the director himself of the original one said that the first Evil Dead movie was supposed to be a very serious, very demonic type of horror, but they didn't think that people at the time would be would receive it well, and so he kind of made it more less what it was supposed to be, but you can clearly see a tone difference in the first Evil Dead movie and the second, where it becomes more goofy, lighthearted Bruce Campbellness. For me, I liked the remake in 2013 where it was what it was supposed to be, very 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 fucking disturbing evil horror. And when I watched the trailer for the second movie, I was like, yes, like I hope this is amazing because it already has moments from the first movie where you love it but you never want to watch it again because of how disturbing it is. And I still to this day cannot get past the scene in the 2013 one. Have you even seen it?
I have not seen the 2013 one. No.
Oh my god, look, it doesn't matter, they put it in the trailer, so I guess it's not super spoiler, but basically one of the girl who becomes possessed in the in the 2013 one, she literally takes one of those utility knives with a really long razor, okay, and she literally licks up it until her tongue is in half.
Really, that's kind of odd.
Well, the way that it's done in the movie is fucking disturbing, okay, because it's not just on screen to be on screen. There's actually a scene going on, but they included just that little snippet of it in the trailer, and I was all like, oh, like that's in the movie. And then like you watch the movie and that shit goes hard. I actually feel like the biggest hot take you can have, that the 2013 Evil Dead movie is more disturbing than The Exorcist.
Now, let me ask you this: is Ash versus Evil Dead in that universe?
No, no,
Okay.
this is without Ash. This is like what it was supposed to be. It was
Because
supposed
I
to be.
love Ash versus Evil Dead.
I'm scared though. I'm scared because um what I'm scared about these remakes is they're finally living up to the potential of what the story was supposed to be in terms of the Necromonicon book and how it falls into the hands of people. But I'm scared they're going to take a Saw route where they're going to start making sequels out of nowhere with random fucking ideas, and it's going to start losing quality.
Bro, Saw? Oh my god. Saw is
I know.
just Jesus, man.
The first two movies were great.
And then my friend is a really big Saw fan of all the movies, and he was telling me like, "Yo, watch the new Saw TV show on Netflix," and I was like, "Hell no!" I learned better than to do anything with Saw after the like first 2 or 3 movies. Because, dude, have you ever watched Scary Movie 4?
Yes, I have.
That shit is more entertaining to watch than the rest of the Saw movies. That intro with Dr. Phil is locked up in the Saw room. That is more entertaining to watch than anything in any of the Saw movies after the first 2 movies. And like I get they were trying to like, we're gonna make an overbranching story, but then it just like it's stupid because like you can only do the same thing like twice. It's the same thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre because like the it gets to the point where it's like, at what point are you gonna just stop? Same with fucking Halloween and Friday the 13th. Luckily, they did that way too early with Friday the 13th, and they killed it off a lot quicker than it because it could have been bad. But at what point, like, do you just quit? I think that's the problem that a lot of the movies, horror movies that were really popular had, is because see, horror movies as a franchise is kind of dead, to be honest now. Like it doesn't make anywhere near as much money. And even in the 80s, when I say its peak would be 80s and 90s, okay, when we had Scream, the original Friday the 13th, which actually was 1979, but whatever, fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was 77, but all those movies, right, that era, even in that era, that wasn't a money-making franchise. Like that, so for those movies, like for example, Nightmare on Elm Street, when that movie got really popular, I think that was the one that, for the first time ever, probably reached a box office of near a normal like regular movie did as a slasher horror movie. So then they just fucking like I think it was Universal or Warner Brothers or whoever owned them dumped just so much money. Actually, it was Paramount. Paramount dumped so much money into making as many fucking sequels and prequels and anything to that movie they could think of, and that's when you get shit like Dream Warriors, which is the worst thing ever. And then you get fucking Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, and it's like, oh my god, bro, stop making movies. and Friday the 13th was the same thing. Paramount, first one did really good. Second one did okay. But then Nightmare on Elm Street really boosted horror movies. So then when the third one was like, okay, now we're really going to put Jason in the spotlight. You had tits, you had killing, you had a dope ass killer with this cool ass hockey mask. And then they were like, it blew up. That movie blew up too. And they were like, oh my god, here is our Nightmare on Elm Street that's going to work this time. So then they dumped as much money into that. And that's when you get Jason Goes to Manhattan. Okay? You get Jason X. You get fucking Jason Goes to Hell. Okay? You get shit like that. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Freddy vs. Jason is pretty cool as a concept. And if you take it as a not meant to be a serious movie, it's fun. It's a fun movie to watch. Like, but the problem is the other movies are just so bad. Or so bad. Jason Goes to Manhattan is one of the worst movies I've ever watched in my entire life. There's a guy who's oh my god. There's a scene in that movie, right? Okay, don't ask me why. But you know the lake? There's that massive lake that Jason drowned in, right? Okay, this is technically a lake in the Midwest, right? This isn't a Great Lake. This isn't anywhere that would have a seaport. These motherfuckers are going to take this boat from that lake because, oh my god, they built a new canal. They built a new canal 600 miles to New York City? How the hell does that work? Okay? So then this big-ass cruise boat leaves from there, which I don't even know how that's possible, okay? First 5 minutes of the movie, it doesn't even make sense already. They get to New York, and this guy, literally, they get off the boat, and the first time Jason's finally seen, like in full daylight, off the boat, this guy immediately puts on boxing gloves and goes, I'm gonna take him out. He starts punching the shit out of him, and at first he's like, everybody's like, yeah, they're kicking his ass, he's kicking his ass. and all of a sudden Jason just starts walking towards him, and the guy, like, instead of running away or anything like that, just keeps trying to hit him, and eventually Jason just takes it like this, grabs him by the throat, takes his axe, like he takes his fire hydrant axe, puts it in his fucking foot, knocks him back, and takes his arm. And I kid you not, worse CGI or worse special practical effects, whatever it was, I don't know what they were trying to use, but whatever they did, he takes his arm, cocks it back, and just fucking creams his head off his head. Just split like clean off. Off, like his head is completely off his body. And I'm like, what are you doing? How does that even work? Like, oh my god! And there's actually in the Friday the 13th game, okay, as Jason, episode 8, which is Jason Goes to Manhattan, that Friday the 13th killer, which he's a really strong one in that game. He's a really strong killer in that game. He has an execution that parodies it, where he'll grab the people, he'll throw his axe into their body, he'll walk up to them, and he'll just go like this. He just cocks his arm back, kind of just like bow, and he just smacks their fucking head off, and it's like, what the fuck? And it's super funny. The Friday the 13th games the game I should say is so fun, but it sucks that like they fucked up the movies. Oh no, and then Scream too. Scream was going that route too. After Wes Craven left Nightmare on Elm Street and went to Scream, he made a banger. Scream, the whole point of Scream is that it's a parody. It's a parody of a parody. And Scream 1 and 2 are amazing. Everything after that, except for the new one, was pretty okay, but still shouldn't be. It shouldn't exist. But everything after that is just like no. And luckily, after Scream 4, they kind of gave up, which was nice. And then they made the new one, which did okay in the box office, but there's most likely not gonna be another Scream one, which is okay. Slasher movies get insane though. I'm a really big slasher movie fan. I can tell you the dates of pretty much every single Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And it's oh man. No.
See, and that's what I hope doesn't happen to the Evil Dead franchise. It's going to be very easy to fall into that trap. Oh, look, another group of people found the Necromonicon. Oh, here's a haunting. It's like, no, from what I could tell from the trailer, the director understands the purpose of the Necromonicon and how terrifying it can be, which is why if you watch the very first Evil Dead movie, which has the most serious tones, and it's beautiful clay stop motion animation, by the way, you understand what it is, and so you appreciate the 2013 version for just going all out in many different ways, because they weren't trying to copy the original Evil Dead like scene for scene, which is nice because remakes tend to do that. They were all like, okay, they've already seen this type of thing in the first one, we're going to do our own like versions of the possession and the brutal killings. And it was like, oh well, thanks for trying to keep it original aside from a few things that you can't get rid of because it's part of the story. And so I was like very happy with the 2013 movie. And funny enough, it's still a movie to this day where I will never watch that movie alone.
Yeah.
Because if you write a demonic world like this with like a book where you just fucking saying the first few lines of its pages opens up a lot of evil devil shit, and you're just like, look, evil book possesses you if you open it and read it. That's the premise. Please sit down and believe that. I will sit down and I will believe the premise for as long as I can until it either gets goofy or it goes whack. And the movie didn't do either. It was literally like, oh yeah, cool. You find a rare book made of human skin and other weird shit, and you decide to read it, and shit happens. Like this is scary as fuck because like now I'm afraid to fucking go to the library and open creepy books now.
Our library has so many books that are just so fucking weird, dude. I don't even know what the deal with our library is. So cringe, like it's so ass. It just always stinks. They haven't updated it in like the past like 30 years, and I wish they would, because the library could be such a cool place, and they just no, our library's ass. But no, for me, I just don't like when they start milking a franchise too much. Like Fast and Furious is another one of my franchises that I loved, and they milked. And I mean, the new movies are fine, but the problem with them is they're not Fast and Furious. They don't deserve the title of having Fast and Furious. They are Fast and Furious as a premise is about driving cars, racing, driving cars. Dumb shit happens. Like this car jumps onto the boat, a boat explodes, boom. Now it's like we're gonna jump a car out of space, out of a helicopter, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing, guys? Like the whole point of this movie franchise was that it was just driving cool ass cars at the time, and now it's no longer about that. Like Fast 9, it kind of went back to that because the director of that movie directed Tokyo Drift, the third movie, which everybody claims is a bad movie, but if you watch Tokyo, it's one of the best. If you watch that compared to the new ones, no, you will love it. And and it has a lot of more racing scenes, and for once in probably the first 10 years of Fast and Furious movies, the ending battle is completely all on wheels. The ending battle is never stops, like it's not stopping moving. It never stops moving,
which is nice.
Which is nice.
That last ending, that last race, down that fucking mountain shit was probably like
one of the coolest scenes. And what's funny is, did you know? Fun fact: they didn't use any CGI for the first 3 movies with car racing, and since then the four and on, and Fast 10's coming out this year, by the way. Might I add, at the end of the year, Fast 10 called F10. It apparently has
fuck.
Yeah, it has Tom Holland in it.
The fuck?
Yeah, and he's a villain this time, bro.
What the fuck? Spider-Man's a villain?
Villain? I know. But no, the Fast 10's coming out this year, but since then, okay, so F9 to Fast and Furious 4, okay, the 4th movie, there has been like at least like 30 times where CGI has been used, okay? But in the first 3 movies, there's not a single use. No use of CGI.
I think Tokyo Drift had small amounts of CGI for that mountain phase.
Well, actually, fun fact, it didn't, because how it worked is it's not CGI. It's actually backdropped. It's green screened. So it's not CGI because they didn't make they didn't take the cars and CGI them. So what they did is they built these big ass ramps. So half the scene is done legit. The bottom half of the scene, like, so the top of the part, because they couldn't get access to that mountain in Japan that they wanted, because it would have been way too much money, and they did not have the budget for that back then. Now they would have been able to, but back then they didn't. So what they did is they only drove on the part that they could get access to, which is the bottom half of the mountain. So like I think it's that part to where right after he almost falls off, and then he gets back and he's like, I'm gonna win this, I got this. And that part, after that part, that's all real. But before that, they just basically set up these ramps, and they would take these professional stunt drivers, because the actors are not going to drive these. The actors can't even probably drive cars to begin with. They'll take stunt drivers, and they'll take the cars, and they'll drive them and do crazy shit with them, and then they'll be like, all right, where does this work? And they'll fit it, and they'll piece it together, and so it's technically all real, just the backdrop was fake, like the background. And then after that, they started just CGIing a lot of the cars. But did you know? So you know the one with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the 5th movie, right? Where he's constantly after them when they're in in. It's not Mexico. They're in like Brazil or whatever.
Yeah, they're in. God damn it! Not. I know they're in Brazil, but I can't keep going.
Anyways, yeah. So they're in Brazil, and there's that scene where they have that bank vault thing, right? You remember that where he's towing it? That was all done legit. No CGI to that. You would think that would be the one thing they'd CGI. It was completely done legit. There's a video of them actually doing it. And the stunt drivers that were having to do it were actually so scared to do it that they basically said they weren't going to do it unless they got like this amount of money and this insurance and stuff like that. And they did. So it was.
See, I remember seeing how they did that whole thing legitimately. And I was all like, Jesus Christ, dude.
No, there's and ever since like Fast and Furious 5, the movies have gone like mega downhill, because like Hobbs and Shaw was pretty dope. Okay, Hobbs and Shaw was a cool concept because I really like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character and Dwayne as a person, and But the only problem that I had with it is it was kind of a goofy concept, like almost too goofy for even Fast and Furious. And
Yeah.
then the rest of the Fast and Furious movies were just like, have been kind of weird. Fast 7 is probably the best one of the new movies. Fast 8's trash. Fast 9's okay. But like Dwayne the Rock Johnson, what got so done with Vin Diesel that he quit working in the movies. Which is why he's not in the movies anymore. He won't work with
Mm-hmm.
Vin Diesel anymore because Vin Diesel pissed him off. And apparently Vin Diesel is horrible to work with. Like he's Vin Diesel is probably like one of the worst people to work with, according to a lot of actors. Because so first off, have you ever seen that picture of him really fat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that he was out of shape. Also apparently once he finally got back into shape for F9, uh, he would come like he would show up super late. He'd show up like 2 hours late to the sessions, and when he would come with his script. He'd hand it to the director, and it would have script revisions on it. And he'd be like, "This is what I want to say," and then the director would be like, "No, no, no," and he would argue. They'd go and fucking argue for like an hour before they'd finally get what the director wanted. And Vin Diesel would always like threaten to fucking quit and be like, "I can always stop producing these movies," and like, but I don't know how the director got away with it. But then there's this one where Vin Diesel's like working, he's like taking an Instagram video, and the director just looks so pissed and he's so swamped in the background with like all this shit. He goes, "Hey," I can't remember what the director's name was. He goes, "We making the best movie ever or what?" And the director goes, "Yep, it's gonna be a movie. It's definitely gonna be a movie for sure." And he goes, "Yeah, from the director's mouth, go check it out. This movie's gonna be insane." And it's like, oh my god, dude! Literally, you. Oh. No, and apparently
See.
a bunch of the cast also really didn't like working with Vin Diesel either.
Yeah. Plot twist. Now you know why Paul Walker died.
I don't like Vin Diesel so much. I'm out of this bitch.
More like Vin Diesel killed Paul Walker.
Damn, could you imagine? Because he wanted the spotlight so badly, he had to
Look,
get rid of him.
all I'm saying, okay, all I'm saying, I know nobody's perfect, and I know nobody's infallible, okay. All I'm saying is you got Paul Walker, somebody who is very gifted behind the wheel, and you got one of the world's best race car drivers in the same vehicle, and you're gonna tell me these motherfuckers like went too fast and hit a pole? What?
Yeah.
I'm so and then not to mention, notice how the movies started focusing on putting Dominic Toretto on the spotlight of every little fucking thing. Everything's about Dominic Toretto. Everything has to be centered around him with every scene. Like I think it was literally like Fast 8 and Fast 7 and 8 where Dominic Toretto almost fucking dies and has to be brought, like, you can fucking tell.
And F9 does that too.
And I never watched F9.
At the end of
gave up.
F9, they finally crash this big ass vehicle that knockoff Rock John Cena does,
Mhm.
and he's driving it, and they're trying to get this shit, and basically it finally crashes, and Vin Diesel they're like, "Come on, get out, Dom," and he's like, "Leave me," and then he fucking like tries to steer it, and it crashes, and everybody's like starts crying, and John Cena gets out of his car, and he's like. And everybody's like hugging, and then Dominic like puts his hand up like he's fucking coming back out of the grave. He goes, ugh. And it's like, bro, what the fuck,
bro? Like that's 3
let him
movies in a row.
die. Just let him die. On
What I
God, it
also
would be better if
didn't
he
like-
died.
What I also didn't like was, oh, Paul Walker was my greatest friend. He was like my rock, my soul. We were like brothers. And then like he's doing fucking concerts with Wiz Khalifa for that "See You Again" song, and he's just like having a blast on stage and all this. And I'm like, dude, look, listen, I had a friend commit suicide 3 years ago. Okay. You could not fucking get me to go on there to do a fucking song dedicated to him, no matter who it's sung by, and fucking go on tour about it. Okay, you couldn't give me. I'd be too fucking emotional to do that. I couldn't, and it's just like
I've
it just felt
never
like he
seen
was
him once
bathing.
cry either.
Yeah,
Like-
I haven't seen.
like, there's
only
a-
in an interview once.
There was out of all the interviews for F7 when they were talking about Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, I think probably only cried in one of them.
Yeah.
He never looked like he was emotional. He never looked like he looked like, he was a little sad. I mean, anybody would be when you lose one of your biggest parts of your movie, but like, he almost seemed like he like kind of didn't care in a way. Like he was
He
kind of,
thrived in it.
yeah, like he knew it was going to be really beneficial for him. And
And it's sad.
yeah,
Like, he
that's
didn't even cry. Like, I couldn't even film that ending scene for Fast 7 without crying. You know what I'm saying?
No fucking kidding, bro. The fact that you were able to film that at all is insane. Like I would have lost it. I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Like, his character should have at least had a few tears. He should have been every take should have at least had a few tears, unless like they just made him watch like a Bill Burr comedy right before they said action. Like, then it would be understandable. But I couldn't film that pretending that's Paul Walker, my best friend, driving off in the distance to rest his character without fucking crying, because he would have been my best friend, as he fucking describes.
Yeah, and and technically, well, he's not gonna cry because he's not dead in the movies, but it's like, ugh, whatever. And speaking on that, if you think his character rested in F7, boy, let me tell you, it did not.
Oh my god.
In F9, at the end of F9, that blue Toyota Supra that he has, the souped up one from the first movie, it pulls up to the barbecue at the house where Dominic Toretto and them meet, and they go, I think we're just going to save the seat for a special someone. And the little girl's like, who is it, Daddy? And he goes, it's family. And then the fucking car pulls up, and it's fucking... It ends after the car pulls up, so you don't get to see him come out, but yeah. There is a lot of good parts about those movies. There's an improvised scene from, I think, is it F5, F6, or F7? There's an no, it's F6 or F7, because it's after Dwayne Johnson stops being cop and kind of becomes part of the family, it's either an F6 or F7. Hell, maybe it's even F8 when somebody says, I think, what's his name, says something about makes fun of The Rock, and The Rock actually improvises a scene when he's walking in, and he goes,
I know which one you're talking about.
Nice forehead, dipshit, or some shit like that. And fucking Ludacris just actually, like, when Ludacris spit out his drink, that was actually real. Like, it was because it was all improvised, so they didn't know he was gonna say that. So Ludacris, like, apparently lost it on set. Like, he was crying for like 20 minutes. He was laughing so hard.
It was The Rock and Tyrese Gibson. He was making fun of Tyrese Gibson's big ass forehead.
Yeah, no, because Tyrese says something about like see the sunshine off your head or some shit like that, and he goes, yeah, nice forehead, dipshit. And fucking Ludacris just fucking loses it. Well, now I gotta find the clip now. I gotta find the fucking clip. I want to watch this.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking hilarious. Okay.
I found it.
What movie is it from? Send it to me. Which movie is it from?
6.
Oh, it is? Okay. Big forehead scene. Okay, hold on.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby, or... I'm just playing.
You better hide that big-ass forehead.
I was just joking. Whatever.
Better hide that big-ass forehead you got, buddy. Fuck, dude. Oh, my God. But no, yeah. There's a lot of news this week, too. Bunch of sad stuff happened. Football player almost died. Very sad. Damar Hamlin. He's what's called a safety, basically somebody who's supposed to be like he's kind of like imagine like a guard, right? He's like guarding so like football doesn't get in the hands of a receiver. Basically trying to take down one of these guys who plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengal guy it's a legal move, by the way. You can put your shoulder down and truck somebody. It's called trucking them, where you try to push them down and get out of the way. He trucks them, hits them, they both fall down. And then Damar Hamlin stands up, falls down, went into cardiac arrest. It was a pretty sad week for the NFL. They didn't do any games because of it. They canceled the game, and they really they set up like a really just strange season now, because it's going to be a really sad one now, because those teams are like they don't want to play anymore because they're like really fucked up right now. But it sounds like Damar Hamlin is going to live. Thank fucking Christ, because like if he would have died, it would have been bad. It would have been so bad. because you already have all these people that don't like football because they don't like contact, and then if somebody dies because of a legal move that's legal, oh my god, there'd be so much outrage about the goddamn NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's really sad. And for me, like I usually don't really care, but it was like it kind of felt odd because it was so like the atmosphere around it was just so gray. Like it was so like, geez, man. And because of that, his charity that he has, the Toys for Tots, is the one that he picked, because every NFL player picks like a charity that they represent. So most of them will pick like the major ones, and so he did Toys for Tots, the Christmas one, and it raised like over $8 million this week.
Damn.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And the guy who hit him, T. Higgins, donated $500,000 of his own money to it as well because he felt so bad, and he sent the family a bunch of money and stuff like that to pay for the medical bills. T. Higgins, really nice guy. I have him on my fantasy team. He seems like a really like ruthless guy because he gets a lot of penalties for trash talking, but he's just genuinely a wholesome guy, which is cool. And that's really awesome that they paid for his medical and all that. And yeah,
Now I've watched the clip of it happening and him like collapsing backwards. It didn't. I get confused when people report it because it didn't look like he got tackled. It looked like he was tackling
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
else.
So that's what a safety does. So Higgins isn't the one getting tackled. Or sorry, Damar Hamlin isn't the one getting tackled. So a safety's whole point is to either deflect the ball of a wide receiver, okay, or you're gonna make sure to be safety. Like, so safety can kind of move around the field, right? You can kind of move wherever they want, and the safety's goal is to stop the ball's progression at all means possible. So Higgins catches the ball and he's running, right? He's running, and so the safety's goal is any means possible. You get him to the ground and you stop the ball from progressing. So he tried to tackle him and take him down, but what happened is before he could tackle him, Higgins, the guy who had the football, is running with his shoulder, right, and he puts it down and he does something called a truck, which is basically where you lunge forward, like with your left or right shoulder, depending on which way you catch the football, and you're trying to push through the person. And when he hit him in the chest, and he hit him so hard he put him in the cardiac arrest, and then he apparently had another underlying health condition with his heart as well that got reactivated, that he didn't know about, that got activated when he got hit too. And so they basically had to resuscitate him on the field and shit, and then they sent him to the hospital because he couldn't breathe by himself and his fucking brain was basically scattered, and it was bad. Yeah, like there's the clip. Yeah. So you see him, so okay, so 85, I don't know if you pause it. I don't know if you can if you pause it right before he hits him. 85 right here. 85
Okay, I see it. I see
is
it.
T. Higgins. 85 is a guy named T. Higgins. That guy to the right is Damar Hamlin right there. T. Higgins pushes into him, right? And then he comes down because he trucks him pretty good. And he does his job. And then he stands up, and he's like, fuck. And that's when he passed out. He passed out. And yeah, T. Higgins, if you notice, he uses his right shoulder, not his left. But yeah,
There you go.
T. Higgins, he basically hits him and knocks him down. It was a pretty good hit. That would have definitely shell shocked somebody pretty good. It would have rocked somebody normally even without that. Even if he didn't have the underlying health condition, that's almost a concussion move. Because Higgins is a powerful guy. Higgins is not a small guy. He's one of the biggest wide receivers in the NFL right now. And the Bengals are insane too. It's a crazy clip. It's a crazy clip. But no, he's making a comeback, so it's good. It's great. He's becoming good and well. But
I hope he makes a full recovery.
yeah, it sounds like he should be able to, which is nice. And also, I watched a movie. Have you ever watched a movie called Prisoners with Paul
Yes,
Dano
I have.
and and Jake Gyllenhaal? I finally watched. I got around to watch the movie because I've watched a lot of the clips, but I've never like seen the full movie. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and watch a movie. And so I watched Prisoners, and oh my god, was that movie so good!
I know.
Oh, dude, that story
Fucking awesome.
is so great. I love the characters. I love the characters. I love the actors. I love the story. I love the direction. I love the cinematography. Everything about that movie is so good. Had I known that movie existed, like as it is, had I watched that movie before I did my top 20 movies, I would have definitely put it somewhere in there because that was a good movie. Oh man.
It was, dude. Yeah, it's a good movie.
But yeah, that's basically all I did this week, and then I'm starting my college classes. So there we go. We got through everything. Sorry about last week too. We didn't have an episode. We were supposed to have a guest on, but our guest decided to be very irresponsible and be very I guess just irresponsible is a word, and mismanaged time and kind of wasted my time as well a little bit. And so we apologize for that. It probably, I mean, it's nice to take breaks every once in a while. It's good for the body, good for the mind. No, but yeah. So sorry about that. Raven, anything else you want to say? Any other topics you have? Anything you got?
Yeah, next week we will actually discuss James Gunn.
Yes, because we didn't get to discuss James Gunn this week. But all I will say is James Gunn needs the gun. That's all we're gonna say for now. Because this episode's getting a little long. And we didn't get to what we needed to get to, which is James Gunn. But next week we'll continue on that note of James Gunn. I'll probably use the same picture. Maybe episode 17 will James, well, I guess the story's still kind of developing because we don't know. So rumor is that James Gunn is going to make Elliot Page the new Superman, and it sounds like next week is when they're going to announce if it's true or not. So I guess I guess we'll get more information on the James Gunn situation on whether or not he really needs to be fired. But either way, as it looks, he's heading towards needing to be fired, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe it could totally be like a fake rumor and all that. And there was a lot of rumors about the DCU this week. One about Hush being, there was a leak that Hush is going to be the next villain in the second Batman movie. Which is basically
another one with The Rock wanting full exclusive control of the DCEU.
Yeah. And so Hush is basically like he's one of Bruce Wayne's childhood friends, and he teams up with the Riddler, which I guess makes sense. I mean, everybody figured it was either going to be like Mr. Freeze, Hush, or something like that. So that's the leak that it's Hush. So other than that, though, yeah. So this story's still progressing. So for now, just keep in mind that James Gunn is on very, very, very thin ice. Like, his boots are wet right now with how close he is to falling through the ice. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, we will keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening all the way. If you got all the way, remember, like, comment, subscribe, download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, usually every single Saturday, Sunday. Usually Saturday for the uploads on YouTube, Sunday for the digital ones the audio ones because they take a little bit to get through our host service to all the platforms. So I guess anytime in the weekend, basically. So more weekly based. And yeah, sorry about last week once again. But yeah, if you made it all the way, thank you. We appreciate you so much. Maybe consider sharing with your friends, sharing with your family. Sit down, listen to the BeastCast in the car while you're driving to take your mom to Burger King or whatever. Whatever you got to do. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And with that, Raven, shall we?
Goodbye, peeps.
Okay, see you guys. Bye-bye. Bye.